Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into Claude Opus 4, a powerful AI assistant built to enhance a wide range of tasks from reasoning and writing to coding and professional workflow management. This session is designed to guide you through its key capabilities in a clear, beginner friendly step by step workflow. Our goal is to help you confidently use Claude to create reliable, professional deliverables by mastering prompt design, thorough review, and responsible application. Throughout the training, you'll see how Claude supports complex problem solving, coding, and knowledge work, enabling smooth and effective task management in a professional setting. Let's explore how to make the most of this tool together. By the end of this session, you'll be able to position Claude Opus 4 effectively by understanding its strengths in complex reasoning, coding, research, structured writing, and agentic workflows. We'll look at a repeatable prompt workflow design to help you get consistent, high quality results, starting with defining your goal, setting the context, crafting your prompt, reasoning through it, drafting, verifying, refining, and finally delivering the output. You'll also learn how to apply Claude to practical use cases, such as knowledge work, software development tasks, document creation, analysis, training materials, and business communications. Importantly, we'll cover how to manage quality and risks by protecting sensitive data, validating facts, reviewing code carefully, and ensuring humans remain accountable for all final decisions. Remember, Claude is your thinking partner, not an autopilot, so your critical judgment is essential throughout the process. Our aim is not just to work faster with AI, but to do so clearly, safely, and professionally. Claude Opus 4 is Anthropic's advanced AI model specifically designed for complex reasoning and extended work. One of its key features is its hybrid reasoning capability, which allows it to handle challenging tasks with deeper thinking. With the introduction of Claude 4, we get a near instant response mode that accelerates interactions without sacrificing depth in problem solving. This model is particularly strong in long running coding projects and complex problem solving, making it ideal for developers and those engaged in sophisticated analytical work. Anthropic has positioned Opus 4 to excel in these demanding environments, especially when integrated into agent products. Claude's capabilities extend beyond just text. It supports multimodal inputs like images and is tool-aware, meaning it can seamlessly work with various plugins and APIs across different Claude platforms. This flexibility enables powerful workflows involving agents and tools, improving productivity and adaptation to specific tasks. It's important to note that while this presentation focuses on the Opus 4 family, released in May 2025, newer versions beyond 4X exist as of 2026. However, the core workflows and practical adoption strategies outlined here remain relevant for understanding the capabilities of this model family. In summary, Claude Opus 4 shines in coding and reasoning tasks, accepts text and image inputs, operates through multiple surfaces like Claude itself, APIs, and cloud platforms, and incorporates human review to ensure quality. This combination makes it highly effective for professional and technical applications. Claude Opus 4 is designed to support professionals in managing the vast amount of information they encounter daily, from reports and emails to code and presentations. Its capabilities are organized into 5 practical zones. First, deep reasoning helps break down complex decisions, analyze trade-offs, and identify root causes. Second, in coding and software tasks, Claude can generate, refactor, debug, test, and explain code, making it a valuable tool for developers. Third, in knowledge work, it efficiently searches, analyzes, synthesizes, drafts, and compares information. Fourth, its multimodal analysis allows interpreting images, diagrams, and other visual data. Lastly, agentic workflows enable planning multi-step tasks with human oversight and tool integration. The key to getting the most value from Claude is for users to clearly define the desired outcomes and maintain review checkpoints throughout the workflow, ensuring accuracy, appropriate tone, and confidentiality remain intact, as the human user is ultimately responsible for the final output. Here we see the main capabilities and workflow options for Claude Opus 4. The key principle here is to choose the right environment based on the task at hand. For everyday chatting, writing documents, quick research, or planning, Claude AI is your go-to surface. If you're working with code, whether understanding code bases, editing multiple files, running tests, or supporting pull requests, Claude Code is optimized for developers. When it comes to integrating AI into production applications or managing enterprise-level workflows, the API or cloud option fits best. Lastly, for organization-wide AI use with governance and administrative controls, the team or enterprise environment is ideal. The core idea is to match the platform to your specific needs. So a quick draft stays in chat. Code changes happen in Claude Code, and control workflows run to the API or cloud infrastructure. This approach ensures efficient and responsible use of Claude's powerful capabilities. Let's walk through the master workflow that you can use consistently across writing, coding, analysis, and training when working with Claude. It starts with defining the goal. This means being very clear about the outcome you want, whether it's a summary, a report, a checklist, or any other deliverable. For example, instead of a vague request like, help me with this, a strong goal would be, create a professional one-page HSE observation report with specific sections like observation, risk, corrective action, responsible person, and target date. Next, you add context. This involves providing all relevant background information. Claude needs to understand the task fully. After that comes specifying the prompt, which means outlining the exact format or style you want the output to take. Then we move to the reasoning step, where you ask Claude to structure the response logically, ensuring clarity and coherence. Once these foundations are set, you generate a draft. Think of this as the first version of your output. But the work doesn't stop there. You must verify the draft by carefully checking its quality, accuracy, and completeness. Finally, after any necessary revisions, you deliver the finalized product. Following this workflow helps prevent shallow or unfocused AI usage. It gives Claude a clear target, improves the quality of the output, and ensures a human review is in place before anything is finalized. This approach leads to more professional, reliable, and effective results every time. When starting with Claude Opus 4 training, the first and most important step is to clearly define your goal. It's crucial to focus on the output you want to achieve rather than the tool itself. So ask yourself, what is the final deliverable I need? This could be anything from an executive summary, an email, a slide outline, a risk register, a test plan, a code fix, a proposal, or even a training script. Next, clarify your success criteria. Define the desired length, tone, audience, format, quality standard, and the decision-making purpose behind the deliverable. Using action-oriented language is key. Terms like create, compare, summarize, analyze, rewrite, test, debug, classify, extract, or turn into a checklist help make your prompts clear and specific. Avoid vague prompts like help me, and instead replace them with specific objectives and output formats. For example, instead of general requests, you might say, create a one-page professional HSE training summary for site supervisors, including key risks, controls, and a 5-point action checklist. Providing good context is essential as well. Background information about the audience, purpose, tone, project type, constraints, and expected format helps Claude understand your situation. For instance, you might say, this email is from my project manager about delayed submission of site photos. The tone should be respectful, professional, and action-oriented. This ensures the response aligns accurately with your real workplace needs. When providing inputs to Claude, clarity is key. Claude performs best when the situation is well defined, so it's important to give comprehensive context. First, consider the business context. Who is the audience? What decision will this support? And what standard or tone should the output follow? Next, the data context. Provide any relevant notes, files, tables, constraints, examples, or definitions that Claude may need to understand the specifics. Then, think about the role context. You can ask Claude to take on a specific role, such as a trainer, analyst, developer, editor, auditor, or reviewer, which guides how the AI approaches a task. Lastly, define the boundary context by clearly stating what to include, what to avoid, any assumptions that should be noted, and where verification is necessary. A strong prompt typically combines these elements: context, audience, goal, constraints, and format. For example, saying, act as a professional HSE trainer. Create a beginner-friendly toolbox talk about heat stress. Include causes, symptoms, prevention, emergency action, and a closing reminder. Use simple language in a confident professional tone. gives Claude clear direction on role, task, content, structure, and tone, resulting in much better output. Now, let's talk about building a strong prompt using a repeatable structure. This approach helps you get the most accurate and useful responses from Claude. The first element is a role. Define who or what you want Claude to act as, for example, a senior AI workflow consultant. Next, specify the task clearly, like creating a 12-step adoption plan. Then, set the context, describe the audience or environment, such as a construction HSE training group. After that, define the format you want the output in, such as a table combined with checklist. The tone is also important. Specify if it should be beginner-friendly, premium, or confident. Finally, include quality criteria. Ask Claude to flag assumptions and verification points to ensure reliability. Think of your prompts as project briefs, not casual questions. This structure method allows Claude to break down complex problems step by step, whether that's comparing options, identifying root causes, or recommending actions. For example, you might say, analyze this incident scenario and identify immediate causes, underlying causes, root cause, corrective actions, and preventive actions. By organizing thinking in this way, Claude supports clearer, more professional results. In this step, we focus on using Claude not just for quick answers, but for structured, thoughtful reasoning. The key is to break down complex problems into manageable parts. Start by asking Claude to identify the main drivers, assumptions, risks, dependencies, and trade-offs involved. Then request comparisons and prioritizations, leveraging tools like matrices, pros and cons lists, decision trees, root cause analyses, or risk rankings to help clarify options. After that, ask Claude for a clear recommendation. Importantly, have it explain why that option is preferred, along with any conditions, limitations, and suggested next steps. Reviewing this reasoning path is crucial. Check for any unsupported assumptions, missing data, or gaps in the business context to ensure well-rounded decisions. For instance, you might prompt Claude with, analyze these three options. Compare risk, cost, speed, quality, and implementation difficulty. Recommend one path and explain the trade-offs. This structured approach helps turn complex decision-making into a transparent, actionable process. At this stage, we focus on how Claude can handle complex knowledge work and document analysis, turning large volumes of information into decision-ready outputs. First, Claude can summarize content by generating executive summaries, highlighting key points, identifying risks, outlining responsibilities, and listing action items. This makes it easier to grasp the essentials quickly. Next, it can extract specific details such as obligations, deadlines, issues, definitions, compliance requirements, or corrective actions, helping ensure nothing critical is overlooked. Claude also offers a powerful comparison function, letting you analyze two procedures, proposals, standards, policies, or project options side by side. Lastly, it can transform your raw notes into polished documents like reports, checklists, tables, presentation outlines, training scripts, or client-ready messages. For example, you might prompt Claude to summarize a procedure into its purpose, scope, responsibilities, key controls, and include a compliance checklist with unclear items flagged for review. This seamless workflow allows you to provide rough notes, specify the audience and tone, request the desired format, and then refine the output into professional, clear, and actionable communication. Now, let's talk about how Claude Code can support us during the coding phase. Claude serves as an intelligent coding assistant that is aware of the entire code base. It helps us understand complex structures by explaining the organization of files and summarizing the flow of data, so we always know what we're working with. Before making any changes, it's crucial to plan carefully. Claude can help generate a detailed change plan, identify which files will be impacted, suggest an appropriate test strategy, and even highlight rollback considerations to prepare us for any unexpected issues. When it comes to implementation, you can rely on Claude to generate or edit code snippets for you. But remember, after generating code, always run tests and review the differences carefully before merging changes into the main code base. This step ensures quality and stability. Claude also shines by automating many routine development tasks like running tests, fixing lin errors, writing release notes, updating dependencies, creating pull request descriptions, and even conducting security reviews. This automation frees up valuable time so developers can focus on more complex problems. According to the Claude Code documentation, this tool acts as an agentic assistant. It reads the code base, makes edits, runs commands, and integrates seamlessly with existing development tools, making your workflow smoother. As a tip, a strong prompt for coding with Claude includes specifying programming language, the overall objective, input, and expected output, plus any constraints. For example, you might ask Claude create a Python script that reads an Excel safety tracker, counts open and closed actions, and exports a summary report, complete with comments and error handling. And finally, always remember to thoroughly test any AI-generated code before deploying it to real work environments to ensure it meets your standards. Now, let's focus on step 7, which is multimodal and visual analysis. This means using images and screenshots as structured inputs for Claude. You can ask Claude to explain screenshots, describe dashboards, user interface screens, charts, forms, or even technical diagrams. This is especially helpful when reviewing visual content, as Claude can identify layout issues, missing elements, readability problems, or gaps in visual hierarchy. From these visuals, Claude can generate useful text outputs like checklists, instructions, summaries, captions, or training notes. However, it's important to remember that while Claude's visual analysis is powerful, it should support, but never replace, a qualified inspection or technical review, especially when dealing with high-risk interpretations. For example, a useful prompt might be, analyze this dashboard screenshot, explain the main insights, risks, missing context, and questions I should ask team. This way, Claude helps you extract valuable information from visuals while prompting further investigation. On this slide, we focus on how Claude supports complex workflows through managed multi-step execution. Instead of just one-off answers, Claude moves into orchestrating entire processes in a structured way. First, Claude begins by planning, outlining all the tasks, dependencies, potential risks, and checkpoints involved. This sets a clear roadmap for what needs to happen. Next, Claude uses tools by connecting to authorized files, code bases, documents, search engines, or business systems to gather and process necessary information. Then comes execution, where Claude runs controlled steps such as creating drafts, updating artifacts, or even generating code as part of the workflow. After that, the outputs go through a thorough check phase, validating results, comparing them against requirements, running tests, and reviewing the evidence carefully. Finally, before any action is released or implemented, a human approves the final step. This professional control model ensures that Claude handles the work but not the authority, keeping permission, verification, and approval firmly in human hands. By organizing workflows this way, Claude becomes a powerful tool not just for single answers or writing tasks, but for building and managing entire operational systems with oversight and accuracy. Here, we're looking at how Claude can transform rough notes into polished business communications. The input might be rough bullet points from meetings, project risks, or management updates. Claude's task is to take that input, organize the message clearly, improve the tone, offer different options, and generate a refined final version. Once Claude produces a draft, it's important to review it carefully. This means checking facts, names, dates, the tone, and any approval or sensitive language requirements. The goal is to ensure the communication truly fits your organization's style and standards before it goes out. The output could be a variety of documents, whether it's an executive email, a formal letter, meeting minutes, an action tracker, or even a training script. For example, you might prompt Claude with something like, convert these rough notes into a respectful project update email. Use a professional tone, include action items, and keep it under 180 words. One key point to remember is that Claude's first response isn't usually the final product. You'll often refine it through follow-up instructions, like making it more professional, shorter, or tailored for a specific audience level. This iterative process is what turns a basic draft into a consultant-level, polished deliverable. Always confirm accuracy and ensure it matches your organizational tone before sending. On this slide, we walk through the step-by-step process of using Claude Opus for coding and automation. First, we start by clearly describing the feature. That means explaining the problem we're trying to solve, the expected behavior of the system, the data model involved, any dependencies, and constraints we need to consider. This sets a solid foundation. Next, we ask Claude for a plan before diving into code. We request details like which files will be impacted, the implementation steps, relevant test cases, and potential edge cases. This helps ensure alignment and thoroughness. Then, Claude generates or edits the code based on that plan. At this stage, we carefully inspect the code changes, the diff, and run tests to verify everything is working as expected. Finally, we move to the review and merge phase. Here, we scrutinize the changes with focus on security, performance, readability, maintainability, and business logic. For example, using a prompt like, review these change files for security issues, missing tests, and maintainability concerns, we can get a detailed analysis highlighting any severity, specific files, issues, and recommended fixes. It's crucial to remember that AI-generated output must always undergo a professional review process. This means checking for accuracy, relevance to the task, tone appropriateness, completeness of details, and ensuring no safety risks are introduced before any implementation or submission. This thorough review safeguards the quality and reliability of our work. As we focus on responsible use and quality control, it's crucial to leverage AI speed without compromising trust, privacy, or safety. One key point is protecting sensitive data. Never upload confidential company documents, personal information, client data, or any security-sensitive details unless you have explicit authorization and your organization permits it. While Claude is a powerful tool that can assist with thinking, drafting, and planning, it should never replace official procedures, legal advice, or expert judgment. Remember, human accountability remains paramount. Always verify important outputs by checking facts, sources, calculations, and compliance requirements. For any high-risk tasks, implement safety checkpoints, such as formal review gates before finalizing or publishing your work. Finally, maintain a quality control loop that ensures accuracy, relevance, completeness, appropriate tone, risk assessment, and ultimately, proper approval. This approach keeps the balance between innovation and responsibility. As we wrap up, let's review the final adoption checklist to make Claude Opus 4 useful, safe, and repeatable in your workflows. First, always define the outcome you want before you start prompting. This ensures clarity and focus. Next, provide detailed audience information, context, and any constraints to guide the AI effectively. Third, use a structured prompt architecture. Organizing your prompts helps Claude understand and respond more accurately. Fourth, ask for reasoning, options, and trade-offs to get deeper insights and well-rounded answers. Fifth, convert the AI output into a deliverable. Turn raw information into usable, polished work. Sixth, verify all facts, calculations, and code thoroughly. This step is critical to maintain accuracy and trust. Seventh, always protect confidential information to uphold privacy and security standards. Lastly, keep humans accountable for the final approval. AI supports decision-making, but human judgment remains essential. Remember, using Claude Opus 4 is not just about generating answers quickly. It's about thinking clearly, communicating professionally, and delivering high-quality work with speed and responsibility. When we combine AI's capabilities with our expertise, the results become truly powerful.